Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here is my media feed. Here is my merchandise. We just rolled out new merchandise last month. Here is our new logo. 5 seconds for everybody to take a look at it. And here is my profile so that you will know it is me. Here's my profile so that you will know it's me. So, we had a very, very entertaining slate of basketball games last night. First, I want to talk about what happened in the NBA before I get to the national championship between UConn versus Michigan. So, we had an interesting game in Atlanta last night, and the game went all the way down to the wire. As you all can see right here, when it comes to the New York Knicks, everybody on the New York Knicks outside of Josh Hart, because I'm going to tell y'all something about Josh Hart. Josh Hart is a defensive specialist. He is not a scorer, and throughout his career, he's never been a scorer that averages 25 to 30 a night. So everybody else on the floor for the New York Knicks, they played well. You had OG Anunoby, 22 points. Karl-Anthony Towns, 21 points. Josh Hart, 2 points. Mikal Bridges, 15 points. Jalen Brunson, 30 points. Bench production for the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson, 8 points. Jordan Clarkson, 3 points. You had Landry Shamet, 1 point. And Miles McBride, 6 points. So for the New York Knicks right now, the New York Knicks are the third spot. Well, third spot in the Eastern Conference right now. And the Atlanta Hawks are in the fifth spot currently. They have a game and a half lead on Toronto for the fifth spot. But everybody else, as you all can see, from 5 to 10 in the East, it only separates them by 3.5 games. That's all. And we getting to the point where it's April 7th, and I believe there's only 4 more games left in the season. So this is pretty much the bracket the Eastern Conference is going to have. Only thing that we are wondering now is who is Cleveland gonna play in the first round? Who is the number 6 team gonna play when it comes to the New York Knicks? And in the play-in tournament, we already know who is going to play in the play-in tournament just by what we are looking at. Philadelphia, Charlotte, Orlando, and Miami. So let me get back to the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks last night. Okenke Okonwu had 12 points. Jalen Johnson, 21 points. CJ McCollum, 17 points. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 36 points. Dyson Daniels, 11 points. Bench production for the Hawks. Jonathan Kuminga, 5 points. Mohamed Guide, 0 points. Zachary Richester, 3 points. Tony Bradley, 0 points. And Gabe Vincent, 0 points. Now let's get to the efficiency for both of these teams, for the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. Last night, Atlanta Hawks shot 40% from the floor. New York Knicks shot 50% from the floor. Atlanta Hawks, they made 16 threes. Knicks made 11 threes. 3-point percentage was pretty much the same. Free throws, exactly the same, 13 or 17, so no advantage there. Blocks, +3 for the Knicks. Total turnovers, Turnovers. Knicks had more turnovers than the Hawks. Fast break points. Well, this game, it was pretty much close-knit. It wasn't many fast break points. As you can see, 12 to 9 in fast break point department. Points in the paint, plus 18 for the New York Knicks. And this is one of the reasons that they won last night. Not just the fact they were able to attack, and it seemed like for most of this game, Jalen Brunson, he was attacking, going down the lane, in the paint, and scoring. That's basically how the New York Knicks are going to win the playoffs. They are going to have to do that consistently. Jalen Brunson, he's going to have to do that consistently in order for the New York Knicks to make it to the Eastern Conference, because they've already been to the Eastern Conference twice. The New York Knicks and it seemed like the Minnesota Timberwolves are in that exact same boat. 2 of the last 3 years, they've been to the West. They've been to the conference finals in their respective conferences. 2 of the last 3 years. Now, once we get to the Knicks, can the Knicks take that next step? And can the Hawks build on this momentum going into the playoffs? I can say that now because they are one of the top 5 teams in the East. So going into the playoffs, can the Hawks build on this momentum? And can they take that into next season? It all remains to be seen. But last night, I'm going to just give y'all the last. I'm going to just go straight to the fourth quarter because it really wasn't. This game was intriguing, but in the last 50 seconds, that's when it really became intriguing. As you all can see, Jalen Brunson, he goes up with a lucky bounce and scores. Knicks, I'm going to tell y'all something about this. The Knicks in the playoffs, you cannot give up wide open threes to your opponent because those are backbreakers. See this? This is a backbreaker right here. The game, it should have been over before he even made that shot. And as you all can see right here, 1.2 left. This was very controversial, but McCollum, he didn't get the ball out of his hand before the clock went to 0. And that is how you get a game that was very entertaining come down to, a last second shot. If he had got the ball off a tenth of a second before, we would have been heading into overtime last night. We would have. But Knicks, they survived overtime. They didn't have to play overtime. But if the Hawks would have got this game in the overtime, the Hawks would have won this one. The next game I'm going to cover is the Detroit Pistons and the Orlando Magic. Let's talk about it. Season series is pretty much done. 2-2. And let's see if these teams can face each other in the playoffs. So as of right now, before I get into these statistics, as of right now, Detroit Pistons are the top team in the East. The Orlando Magic is number 9 in the East. If they win their play-in tournament, they would be facing either the Boston Celtics or the Detroit Pistons. But last night, what I want to get into is when it comes to the Pistons trying to fill the void of Cade Cunningham, with him being out indefinitely. Paul Reed, 9 points. Jalen Duren, 18 points. Kevin Huerter, 17 points. Azur Thompson, 8 points. Dennis Jenkins, 18 points. And then the Pistons, they still have injuries. Tobias Harris didn't play last night. Caris LeVert didn't play last night. And those are some of the Pistons' key contributors. See, this is why I say when it comes to the Pistons, I just don't know if the Pistons can hold up going through a 7-game series in the first round. But not even could they even win a first round playoff series, because you got Cade Cunningham out. Tobias Harris, he's nursing a left knee injury right now. Carius LeVert, pretty much your glue guy for the bench, he's hurt. So you looking at the Pistons, and as far as the Pistons fan base, they are pretty much looking at a rock and a hard place right now, because you don't know what you are going to get. You don't know who you are going to face in the first round. And I'm going to tell you all something. When it comes to the Charlotte Hornets playing against the Detroit Pistons, Charlotte, I'll take Charlotte in that series. I would, because Charlotte, they have more cohesiveness. All of their players are getting healthy at the right time. And the Charlotte Hornets, whoever they play in the play-in tournament, I got Charlotte Hornets beating their play-in tournament opponent. I already got them in the playoffs no matter what. It's just a matter of who they are going to face, whether it's the Pistons or the Celtics. Now, the Charlotte Hornets, if they play the Pistons, they'll have a greater chance of winning. But if the Hornets play Boston, that could be a 5-game series in favor of Boston. It could be. But one thing that I can say about the Magic, they are in the 9th spot right now. Pablo Banchero, 31 points. Tristan da Silvia and Wendell Carter Jr., they each had 12 points. Desmond Bain, 25 points. Jalen Suggs, 12 points. Then Orlando, they pretty much emptied out their bench last night. You had Mortez Wagner, 2 points. Jamal Cain, 3 points. Noah Pender, 0. Goga Batiste, 9 points. You had Colin Castleton, Javon Carter, Alex Morales, all had 0 points each. 3 big goose eggs in their categories. Anthony Black, 14 points in 15 minutes. Jace Richardson, 3 points in 6 minutes. So, when it comes to team statistics for the Pistons and the Orlando Magic, both of these teams pretty much shot the same percentage. Orlando Magic, they shot 51%, and the Detroit Pistons shot 49%. The Orlando Magic made 1 more 3 than the Pistons as far as free throw disparity. Now, this is one of the reasons why the Magic won this game. They had 40 free throw attempts. The Magic had 40 free throw attempts, and the Pistons only had 19 free throw attempts. So, in favor, Magic. On top of that, turnovers in favor of the Magic. Pistons had 21 turnovers. Fast break points, not many fast break points in this game, but in favor of the Magic. Points in the paint, in favor of the Pistons. But when it comes to largest lead of this game, largest lead was 26 for the Magic. And the largest lead in this game was 1 for the Pistons, but this was very, very early in the game, in the first quarter. That's what this was. So, since this was pretty much a lopsided game, I'm not going to show too many highlights of this game, but for the people that want me to show highlights, I'm going to show you a few highlights. Here's one in the first quarter. Orlando Magic, they started off the game on a heater. As you all can see, here is the Orlando Magic again, late in the first quarter, pretty much showing the intensity and keeping the momentum on their side. And as you all can see, let's go to the fourth quarter. This is where the Orlando Magic started to put separation. That's 14 right there. And let's see, the last few minutes, they are up by 11. Make that 13. Well, excuse me, make that 11. So the Orlando Magic, when it comes to the game that they had, this was pretty much a game that they needed. As you all can see, Magic, they needed this game because even though that they are not going to drop out of the play-in tournament, you basically want to be in a four-way tie with just 4 games remaining, because the best case scenario for the Orlando Magic, they are in that top spot when it comes to 6. And you flip it. See, this is what I say. When I mean by flip it, Orlando could be the number 6, could be in that number 6 spot. Philadelphia could be in that number 6 spot. Charlotte could be in that 6 spot, and Orlando. So those are 4 teams. Yeah, 4 teams that are fighting for that 6 spot, because they know if they get that 6 spot, they won't have to go in the play-in tournament, and they could be a guaranteed shoo-in for the playoffs. But whoever get that 6 spot, they playing the New York Knicks, and based on the matchup, I have to say, I have to give the edge to the Knicks. It all depends on whoever they play. Now, if they play Philadelphia, then hey, look, we all know what Philadelphia has done over the past few years when it comes to the New York Knicks. They have made the New York Knicks break a sweat in the past few years. Can they do that again potentially? Maybe, maybe not, but it all remains to be seen. The next game I am going to cover leads into my next topic, which is the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, last night, the 76ers, when we talk about the 76ers as a whole, they have their big 3 back. Paul George, 16 points. Joel Embiid, 34 points. Tyrese Maxey, 15 points. VJ Edgecombe, 14 points. Bench production. They didn't get much from that bench production last night. Justin Edwards, 2 points. Dominic Barlow, 6 points. Andre Drummond, 5 points. Quentin Grimes, 5 points. Also, when we get to the San Antonio Spurs, I'm going to tell y'all something. The one team that can stop the Oklahoma City Thunder is the San Antonio Spurs. If the Oklahoma City Thunder don't win the NBA Finals, it's a greater chance that the Spurs are going to win the Finals. Because you see what I'm looking at on my other monitor right here, when it comes to teams that have a chance at, well, the predictions and the projections when it comes to teams outside of Oklahoma City winning the championship. I'm looking on my other monitor over here. It states that San Antonio, Boston, Detroit, and New York have the best chance to win. Now, I don't know why New York is so high, because just a few days ago, New York was way down here. You had about 5 teams before you got to the New York Knicks. And for the Spurs, it's like that anybody on the Spurs can beat their opponent. You don't necessarily have to depend on Victor Wembanyama to score 30 a night. And that's the good thing about how the Spurs, they play basketball. Because as you can see right here, Julian Champagne, 7 points. Victor Wembanyama, 17 points. De'Aaron Fox, 13 points. Devin Vassell, 9 points. Stephon Castle, 19 points. Y'all see that Stephon Castle? He was their leading scorer last night. When it comes to bench production, same exact thing. Harrison Barnes, 2 points. Landy Waters III, 3 points. Keldon Johnson, 13 points. Carter Bryant, 5 points. Luke Cornett, 10 points. And Dylan Harper, 17 points. Now, like I say, anytime. Now, if there's not anybody that hasn't been watching Spurs games, every time people think the Spurs win, they think that Victor Wembanyama had a good night. No, he had a relatively decent night, but that's the reason why the Spurs are so good. You don't need one player to put up 30, 35 points a night. I think a player, if a team needs a player to pick up to score 30 to 35 points a night, that ain't no good team, because you have four other players on the floor that can't find their own shot. Now, I know that it's about 6 players on the Spurs that can go find their own shot, but it's not necessarily needed every night, because one night De'Aaron Fox can win the game for you. Another night Victor Wembanyama can win the game for you. Another night Stephon Castle can win the game for you, like he was the leading scorer last night. But the Spurs, they had a good lead on this game, and they had this game firmly intact for the majority of it. And as you all can see, when it comes to these statistics, the Spurs almost shot 50% from the floor. They made more threes than the Spurs. Excuse me. The Spurs made more threes than the 76ers. Free throws. They were more efficient. Spurs were more efficient from the free throw line than the 76ers. Blocks and turnovers was pretty much the same. Fast break points. Not many fast break points when you're talking about the Spurs, because they don't allow that. But the Spurs had 22 fast break points, and the 76ers only had 11. Now, largest lead of this game was 14 points in favor of the Spurs. Largest lead for the 76ers was 4. Now, one thing that I can say is 76ers, when we get to how the 76ers play, we all know that outside of the big three, there's nothing to do. As you can see right here, these are the first few minutes of the game. That was Julian Champagne for 3. And once we get to the third quarter, early fourth quarter, as you all can see, the 76ers, they tried to make a run, and they got it back down to 7. 7 with 10 minutes left. But the Spurs, they were not going to give up this lead. They get all the way to the rack. Julian Champagne again for 2 of his 7 points. And there was a timeout right there. When we go to the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter, we also see where the Spurs, they score again. And once we get down to the last 2 minutes, they pretty much had an 11-point lead. They made that 13, which was almost the largest lead of the night. And for the 76ers, they are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And like I've been telling everybody, the 76ers coming into this season, we expected the Boston Celtics to be where the 76ers are. But the 76ers, I'm going to tell y'all something. When it comes to the 76ers, Joel Embiid, he's been out for over 30 games this season. You had Paul George out for 25 games. You had Tyrese Maxey out for 18 games. So when it comes to their big three, they haven't even been on the floor for a grand total of a quarter of the season. Now everybody is expecting for the 76ers to somehow win their first round series. The Philadelphia 76ers head coach is on the hot seat. And in a few days, I'm going to come out with my NBA head coaching chopping block, but I'm already putting the 76ers head coach on the hot seat. Another guy that's on the hot seat is the Cavaliers head coach. He on the hot seat. One more other coach. I'm very skeptical about putting the Orlando Magic head coach on the hot seat, but I think I'm going to put him on the hot seat because the Magic, they've been in the playoffs for the last 3 years, and they haven't been able to get over the hump. So more than likely, I'm going to put the Magic coach on the hot seat. And when it comes to the Western Conference, one thing that I'm going to do, I am going to put the Minnesota Timberwolves head coach on the hot seat, because it's been 4 years that the Timberwolves, they made it to the playoffs. They've gotten to the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years. Now we got to think about job security with Chris Finch for the Timberwolves. And not just that, but dare I say, Tyronn Lue, when it comes to the LA Clippers. Got to think about his job security in question, because he's been with the Clippers for 7 years, and in those 7 years, they've only made it to the conference finals once. And in the last 3 years, they have only made it out of the second round just once. And all of the other teams, we all know that all these other teams, they're going to fall by the wayside, because we ain't expecting the Portland Trailblazers to do nothing. We ain't expecting the Golden State Warriors to do nothing. Now, Steph Curry did come back, but all in all, Golden State, they really ain't been hitting on nothing at all season. Why do we expect for the Golden State Warriors to hit on something now? But Steve Kerr, he is coming back next season. Now, I don't know if next season is going to be Steve Kerr's last hoorah, but I'm going to tell y'all something. Steve Kerr should be, I'm going to tell y'all something. Steve Kerr was very fortunate to get the Golden State Warriors job. He really was, because nobody, and I do mean nobody, I remember this. I remember this like it was yesterday, when Steve Kerr was in the running for the Golden State Warriors job. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Steve Kerr, he don't have no coaching experience. I'm like, only thing Steve Kerr, before his coaching with the Warriors, only thing he had experience in was being an executive for the Phoenix Suns. And that didn't go out too well. So for him to come to the Warriors and win 5 championships. Steve Kerr is one of the top coaches in NBA history. He has 9 championships on his resume, 5 as a player and 4 as a head coach. So when we start talking about coaches and players that have been on the Mount Rushmore of championships, Steve Kerr, he's got to be on that list somewhere. He does. He's got to be on that list somewhere. So, obviously, when we get to the finality of this segment, as you all can see, when it comes to the updated version of the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference playoff bracket, well, this is the regular season bracket, so I'm going to give y'all the playoff bracket in a few seconds. So look and see if there are any favorable matchups that you want to look at in the first round. And I'm going to tell y'all something. Here are the favorable matchups for the first round. So as of right now, you got the Trailblazers and Warriors playing each other in the play-in tournament. Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Clippers playing each other in the play-in tournament. Now, one thing, y'all already know that I'm a Lakers diehard fan. I am not surprised that the Lakers lost last night. Fortunately speaking, I want the Lakers to play the Rockets, because we all know that the Rockets, in late game situations, the Rockets haven't been able to deliver. And the Lakers, throughout the entirety of the regular season, they've been able to beat the Rockets. They have. And when we get to 3 through 6 in the Western Conference, the Nuggets and Timberwolves, I'm going to tell y'all something. Nuggets and Timberwolves, they have played a lot over the last 4 years. over the last 4 years in the playoffs, the Nuggets and Timberwolves have played each other each year in the last 4 years. And when we get to the Eastern Conference, we don't know who is going to play. We don't know who is going to play the Celtics or the Pistons, but we all know that the winner of the 76ers and Hornets, they'll be playing the Boston Celtics. And the winner of the play-in tournament between whoever wins out of the Magic, Heat, 76ers, and Hornets, the loser of the 76ers and Hornets will play the winner of the Miami Heat or the Orlando Magic. So this is pretty much the playoff picture right now. We only have our 72 hours left in the NBA regular season. And then by the time this weekend hits, we should know who all is going to play, because play-in tournament for the NBA starts next week on April 14th through the 17th. And next Saturday, not this Saturday coming up, but the following Saturday, the NBA playoffs will start on April 18th. And with that, those are my reactions to last night's NBA schedule for Monday night. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on millions.co. Here is my profile so that you will know it's me. Here is my merchandise. We rolled out new merchandise last month, and we are going to roll out new merchandise at the end of this month. Here is our new logo. For everybody that didn't see it earlier, here it is. And here is my media feed so that you can keep up with all of my different sound bites, clips. I just did something yesterday for the national championship, and in a few minutes I'm going to do another segment and give my reaction to the national championship that happened last night between UConn versus Michigan. And remember, everybody, one last thing: the key is always on time.